This is like there's a genocide going on right now. And I mean, and even human rights, Israeli human rights groups see this, that the United States of America is funding.
To see these kids starving.
And to not know if you're going to be beholden to the Israeli lobby is to me is not something that should take time to think about, because you started off this interview with us talking about your faith.
Well, I thought maybe we could start with somebody who I feel like is really lighting up the Democratic Party right now. Somebody who has become the new face of resistance media, dare I say. Someone that I wasn't familiar with until either right up to the election or shortly thereafter, the presidential election in 2024. And now I can't get enough of her. And that's Jennifer Welch of the I've Had It podcast. This lady has spunk. This lady has tenacity. If anybody knows, she's really committed to grilling politicians when they come on her podcast. She did an excellent job filleting the fuck out of Rahm Emanuel, former mayor and corrupt bastard from Chicago, Illinois. Look up the Laquan McDonald case if you're not familiar with Rahm Emanuel and his contribution to the world. But anyway, Jennifer Welch has done an excellent job basically picking up the slack for regular mainstream media. Democratic Party media is not willing to hold people in Congress, anybody who's powerful, to account, right? They're so afraid of losing their access. They're so afraid of not pleasing their boss, their overlords, their, raging, whatever the fuck, audiences of people that only want to hear positive things and no negative things. I don't know. But this lady, she didn't get that memo. She's here to hold this guy's feet to the fire, and it's glorious.
You're telling me that Jennifer and Pumps are not members of the chorus cohort?
They're not members.
Is that what you're telling me?
They are not. They have their freedom intact.
Yeah. No, this is great stuff. Huge fan of I've Had It podcast. Great duo over here. Yeah, let's take a look, because this is awesome. Whenever these ladies get the chance to actually interview a politician, they take the assignment seriously. They understand the assignment. And they take advantage of that opportunity in the way that everyone with a platform should.
100%. And now this guy, Geoff Duncan, as far as I'm concerned, he is just a lamb being led to the slaughter. I'm not sure how successful he'll be in the Georgia gubernatorial race, but nonetheless, he's running. And here we go.
So my question for you, because I think this is going to be a big issue with the base of the Democratic Party, and I don't think the Democratic strategists have quite grasped how big of an issue this is. Will you take AIPAC money, or have you taken AIPAC money?
I'm not certain if I've taken it or not. I've been in office 10 years. It doesn't jump out at me as I'm taking it. But I think the most important part
is, will you for this race?
I have no idea. I haven't even thought about it. I've only been in 3 days. But
okay, come on, Geoff. You have to. This is like there's a genocide going on right now. And I mean, and even human rights, Israeli human rights groups see this, that the United States of America is funding.
To see these kids starving.
And to not know if you're going to be beholden to the Israeli lobby is to me is not something that should take time to think about, because you started off this interview with us talking about your faith.
I think there's two important distinctions to make. I think there's whatever somebody wants to write a check and send in a contribution, it is what it is. But do you have the spine and tenacity to do the right thing? And I think that.
Did you want to jump in?
Oh, I just thought it was funny. If someone happens to send me a check, it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. That's not how it works, by the way.
That's exactly what I've done. That's a track record. I mean, I think that's the separation factor.
So will you take AIPAC money in this race?
I have no idea. I haven't even thought about it.
Wow.
But I can assure you of this. My answer on Israel is that this is just an awful humanitarian crisis. And as governor of Georgia, we will do all we can do to deliver that humanitarian aid and work with as much, and also to end the war. I mean, these hostages need to be returned. The war needs to end. But this is the thing that I think we all need to focus our attention on.
Trying to please everyone.
Donald Trump has made this situation unbelievable. To make a mockery of kids that you can see their bones, you can see their very flesh hugged up against their ribs, and to say he's going to build beachfront condos in Gaza, it's disgusting.
And okay, I want to take that moral clarity that you have right there, and then ask you again: are you going to take money from AIPAC? Because just there, you talked about, and AIPAC is what helped. They gave Trump over, I think, $200-300 million. Are you going to take money from a group that lobbies to deny that that's happening to those children?
I'm not going to give you the shallow answer of saying yes or no because I have
The
no idea.
shallow
I'm not-
answer. Wouldn't that just be like the honest answer? And also, it's so like if I was coaching this guy and like maybe he thinks it's an issue that he doesn't want to lean into because it's so controversial. Okay, you don't have to. You can just say no. Of course, I'm not taking AIPAC money because I'm running to be the freaking governor of Georgia. And what the fuck does Israel have to do with that? Like you don't have to get into the specifics. You don't have to talk about Hamas or October 7th. You can literally just say no. Of course, I'm not taking money from a foreign government because what does that have to do with the state of Georgia? I'm running to represent Georgia, not Israel, not Palestine. It has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, and Georgia does have some batshit crazy laws where you have to like praise, like you have to like
True.
vow to be loyal to Israel before you can, do any.
Didn't Abby
business.
Martin sue over that?
She sued them. I don't think she won though.
I thought she did.
Oh, maybe they've retracted it. I as far as I know, that was still the law.
You're right about that, but it's kind of like in the New York City, mayoral election. Obviously, there are like it is important to have a good position on Israel Palestine, but the way they tried to make that like the number one issue in the mayoral election is ridiculous because you're running to be the mayor of New York City. It has nothing to do with fucking foreign relations or diplomacy or anything like that. The same thing goes for the fucking Georgia gubernatorial election. If I were this guy and I wanted to get out of this, I'd just be like, no, I'm not taking the money because I'm running to be the fucking governor of Georgia.
Oh, 1,000,000%. And also, even if he just wants to be politically savvy, even if he's only interested in being completely self-serving, maybe everything he said about watching those starving children and having nothing but hatred in his heart for Donald Trump for the, misery that he's caused them and all these other things that he wants to say, right? Why not just come out here and be selfish and be like, I know the entire Democratic Party is turning on fucking Israel. I know that it's historically unpopular to support them. I know that even the Republican Party is turning on Israel. So for my own self-interest, I am going to oppose them and I'm going to oppose what they're doing. And I'm not going to take any money from the foreign interest group that's sponsoring their genocide. Of course. It's so easy to come out here and say that. And they want to force me to take their money. Then send it back, asshole. They'll lick a stamp, put it on the envelope, have your secretary deliver it to the post office and be done with it, right? You're acting like you have no stake and you have no choice.
Yeah, it's completely ridiculous. Oh, and that's the other thing, like plain dumb. I've seen politicians do this before when it comes to their obvious corruption. They just pretend to not even know about it. They're like, what? I had no idea that I was taking all this money from the fossil fuel industry. What? The NRA is my number one contributor? I had no idea. I'm learning this right now for the first time. It's like, come on, bro. Don't condescend. Don't patronize voters or anyone. That's the worst thing you could do. I'd honestly rather someone just be honest and be like, yep, I'm taking the fucking money. I don't give a shit. I'd rather hear that than this, what, AIPAC? Remember David Peckman? I think it's pronounced IPAC. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
That's what this guy's doing.
1,000,000%. It's the old Inglorious Bastard thing. I like a Nazi in uniform. You know what I mean? I like a Nazi I can see a mile away.
Thought about it, but I will not be beholden to anybody and their check. Somebody wants to write a check to support my campaign. That's their free will to do it. And I will sit there and make.
It's not somebody. It's an organization, right? It's a foreign interest group. And do you notice how they always do that? They try and substitute AIPAC whenever it's brought up as if they're going to exclude an individual. Like he's trying to pivot it to be like, I wouldn't tell a Jewish voter not to come and donate to my campaign. That would be crazy, right? But he's doing that little bait and switch right there where, of course, you're moving the goalposts. Nobody's talking about an individual that can't support you. We're talking about this organization, right? This political action committee.
The decisions that are best for, I believe, in a wisdom-filled way for me. And as Georgia, that's my exact position. Israel was attacked. It was a horrific day, October 7th. We need to figure out ways to drive those hostages back, and we need to figure out a way to deliver those humanitarian. And people need to
if
stop.
Benjamin Netanyahu would quit bombing Qatar, Doha, where the hostage negotiations were happening, then maybe that would help get a ceasefire. And so I think what we're looking for are politicians that quit lying and that don't cover for Benjamin Netanyahu. And this is a huge party in the base of the Democratic Party. In your urban centers of Atlanta, this is a very big driving force. And you have Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is a nut, who is an anti-Semite, like a real Jew hater, who is using this right now, saying MAGA is Israel first. And when people don't know all of the scope of it, that in rural Georgia, they're going to hear
Marjorie Taylor
that.
Greene said that?
Yeah.
Wait, is Marjorie running?
Yeah. So she's
in this gubernatorial election?
No, she kind of flirted with it and then decided not to. And she put out a statement saying that she wasn't going to because I think Brian Kemp is going to win. That's the guy that's currently governor, right?
Yeah, I just didn't know if he was up for re-election.
I thought that he had one more term. If that's not the case, then potentially she could still get in. But she did release a statement not too long ago saying she wasn't going to run for governor.
Interesting.
Filling a vacuum right now where and she has outside her office Marjorie Taylor Greene. It says no foreign lobbyists allowed here. But Marjorie Taylor Greene cherry picks which human rights she cares about. She cares now about Gaza because I think my belief is at the core of that.
She's touching on something. Okay, so Brian can't run. So I'm interested in who the Republican nominee or who the predicted nominee will be, or if it's going to be a pretty contested primary. But what Jen is touching on here is something that's so important and something that I've been warning the Democrats about over here as well, which is that if they don't go out of their way to make it clear to American voters that they aren't taking AIPAC money, that they do consider what Israel's doing a genocide, that they don't support it, and that America shouldn't be funding it, if they don't make that 100% clear in a way that this fucking guy is not, then yeah, the Republicans will seize that lane in a phony way, in the way that Marjorie Taylor Greene does, by going out there and pretending to be more flamboyant when it comes to anti-Israel rhetoric. We see that with Candace Owens. Obviously, we see that with Nick Fuentes.
He pioneered it.
Yep, but we all know what's swimming right underneath the surface of that criticism of Israel, even if it does sound legit on its face. We know what's going on, and that's what Jen is pointing
and
to.
That's why it's so irresponsible for guys like Geoff Duncan or whatever this asshole's name is to try and both sides this, to try and fence it on this, because the Democrats have to be the moral leaders on this issue so that you can't let these snakes don't vacuum up all of the real moral outrage and basically con these people into thinking that they're the only ones who care about these suffering children.
Yeah, and we've already seen this happen a couple times in the last 4 or so years. It really infuriated me watching the Republicans successfully steal the anti-war lane away from the Democrats when it came to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Again, in a totally phony way, but I do genuinely think that a huge part of the reason why Donald Trump won is because he was able to put the Ukraine war at the feet of Joe Biden, put all the blame for that there, say the Democrats are pro-war. Yep. No war happened under my 4 years. I would have stopped this war in 24 hours. I will stop this war in 24 hours. People responded to that because it did feel like under Biden, things kept getting crazier and crazier. The world kept getting more insane. We kept getting more and more close to world war under Biden. Again, and then Trump was able to trick people by saying, no, I'm the pro-peace guy. Of course, now that he's in office, we see that for the lie that it is. The Ukraine war is worse than ever. More civilians are getting slaughtered than ever before. And same within Gaza.
100%. I mean, that was something that we were talking about on our walk the other day that really hit me like a bunch of bricks. I was bitching kind of like I do sometimes when I get frustrated about politics. And I was like, this is why I couldn't fucking wrap my head around the fact that people were going to support him again. I was like, how did everybody not see this coming? How did people not see the unraveling of our economy? How did people not see the ICE crackdowns? How did people not see the National Guards occupying our streets? How did people not know he was going to try and rig the elections in the future after he'd already tried to rig them in the past? And you said something that was so smart. You hit the nail right on the fucking head. You were like, 2 wars started under Joe Biden and it fucking ruined him, man. People did not accept anymore that he was going to be status quo Joe. He was letting the boat get rocked. People had to constantly look at the threat of Russia deciding, hey, I'm going to press the button about this. Oh my goodness. What about Benjamin Netanyahu? Look at all of these starving kids. And you have an obvious con man, a liar with a really, really good propaganda machine coming in here, making everybody forget about the fact that he dropped more bombs in his first term than Barack Obama did in his entire 8 years as president, right? That he didn't do a goddamn thing to get us out of Afghanistan. And I know Bad Empanada wants to do a bunch of hit jobs on us and talk about how Trump really set the table for Joe Biden to get out. No, he was never going to get out. That's why everybody was shocked when Joe Biden actually did it. And that's why to this day, Donald Trump is throwing a tantrum about how the U.S. doesn't control Bagram Air Base. But I don't want to get into that today, right? But this whole apparatus made him seem like he was the anti-war guy. You even had people on the left saying, well, it can't get any worse under Donald Trump. Fake people on the left, people who, clearly were being reckless and irresponsible. But people said that all the time. And now here, what are we seeing? It is undeniably worse. We're not only from a foreign policy standpoint, but from every measurable domestic metric, it is worse. But it all boiled down to 2 wars started under that guy. And now my grocery bill is more expensive.
Yep. 100%.
Anti-Semite, but she doesn't care about gay people, Black people, human rights, et cetera. So I just think this is a huge issue. And I think if you can have moral clarity to talk about the starvation, the famine, and the genocide, then it's a very easy jump to then just say across the board, you wouldn't believe how popular you'd be, Geoff. You just wouldn't believe how popular you'd be if you said, I am not taking money from AIPAC. The Democratic strategists are misreading this. And I'm just telling you, it is a big thing. And
I totally agree with this, but I think it's so much more relevant beyond this Georgia governor race or whatever. I think this is a message that I hope every single Democrat hears. Because I mean, honestly, maybe not, because then some corporate Democrats might just use the line in a phony way. But yeah, I mean, even if like Gavin Newsom or something, when he announces his run for president, I think it would be a huge deal if he was like, I'm not taking AIPAC money. And if he positioned himself against Israel, I think he would be rewarded for that. Even corporate Democrats at this point, I think genuinely would be rewarded by voters for that, because it would make them look more authentic. It would make them look like they're willing to stand up to power. And what's more powerful than the Israel lobby at this point in American politics? Is the ultimate sign that, yes, I'm willing to actually stand up to the establishment. So yeah, I would give that advice to literally anyone running, Democrat or Republican at this point.
And even before October 7th, that was the case, right? I feel like one of the things that really earned Bernie Sanders a lot of street cred was not just that he said no to AIPAC, but that he said no to all super PAC money, right? We need to get back to that in this country. We need to get back to where that is the kind of expectation that we're going to have, that, hey, we're going to build these campaigns for executive level offices, mostly. Like if you're running for governor of Georgia, a lot of fucking people in Georgia that can finance your campaign if you run a true on the ground grassroots campaign, right? Okay, maybe you're running in a weird district, you have to fundraise somehow. Okay, I fucking forgive you. But for the most part, if you're running for president, if you're running for a high office like this, you should be financing yourself with small dollars, and people will respect you when you do that. I obviously, sometimes AIPAC will come in and completely fuck you. We've seen really good candidates that have lost because of that, no matter how much money they raise. If they put $200 million into the race, it's really hard to, like, what the fuck are you going to do? But sometimes even that will start to backfire if people really, really believe in you, right? You know, if AIPAC could spend $500 million trying to get Bernie Sanders out of his seat in Vermont, they were not going to get him out of that seat in Vermont after he ran for president in 2016.
Remember when they tried desperately to fund challengers against Ilhan Omar and AOC and fell flat on their fucking face? It was the most humiliating shit. Like they even nominated like a Republican version of Ilhan Omar, who was also like an immigrant with like the same backstory or something. Remember that shit? It was so funny.
100%. And they couldn't do it, right? It's because those people like Ilhan, like Rashida, right? Like AOC, they have a real base, and they know that, you know, people know they're going to show up for them.
Yep.
Let's see if there's any more of this.
Some very bad actors that are filling this vacuum and void of Democratic leaders not being very black and white about this.
Well, I appreciate your perspective. Obviously, you've got a lot of passion behind your perspective.
Fuck this guy. But she didn't let him go. He starts to wiggle and worm, and she fucking just keeps hammering it. Are you going to take AIPAC money, yes or no? And he clearly says yes.
Yeah. And this guy's not even good at gaslighting or lying. Like there is a way to be like just the ultimate politician. Like you can say anything and get away with it. You can lie to someone's face, gaslight them endlessly, and you still kind of get away with it. A great example of that, frankly, was Joe Manchin. I saw Letterhack bringing up Joe Manchin in chat, but I don't know if anyone remembers when Manchin went on TYT like maybe 10 years ago, and Jake tried to grill him for his corruption, and Manchin did pretty expertly just gaslight the fuck out of him about how corruption. I don't even know these super PACs. I don't even know they were contributing to me. But he did it with way more riz. He did it because he's actually a talented politician. He's a piece of shit, but he's a good politician. This guy, I'm like, you need to go back to like fucking public speaking school or like just basic communication. Like the way he was talking, he seemed so guilty. He seemed so unconfident. He seems so like
he looked like a loser, man. That guy's not winning his race. Did he give you anything to inspire you to believe that he would beat a Republican in Georgia? Are you fucking kidding me, man? That guy looks like a loser.
Yeah, especially not in Georgia. I mean, maybe if we're talking about like Delaware or some shit, but Georgia, like, are you kidding me, bro? You're gonna need to come to the table with a little bit more than this, unless he's, you know, I don't know anything about this guy. Maybe he's done something cool in his career. I don't fucking know. But based on this clip, not impressed.
He has the opposite of big dick energy. He seemed like he had little wiener energy.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
will be there, sir. The vanguard will be there, sir. The vanguard will be there, sir. The vanguard will be there.